Order. Mr. Secretary, do we have a quorum?
Yes, ma'am, we have a quorum.
We will have Commissioner Mike Hernandez lead us in the pledge of the U.S. flag, and Commissioner Mary Dale to lead us in the pledge to the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance.
I now request Chip Osborne to come forward to give us an opening prayer.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you today with grateful hearts for the opportunity to serve Texas veterans and their families. We humbly ask for your protection over all service members who are being deployed, as well as those who are already deployed. In Christ's name we humbly pray. Amen.
Amen. Agenda item 2 is at this time is public comment. I'll open the floor to any members of the public who wish to address the commission on matters under its purview. Please limit your comments to no more than 5 minutes, and please remember that this is time for the commission to consider any public comments, and any discussion or deliberation by the commission for matters posted on the agenda must be limited to a proposal to place on subject on a later agenda, or confined to statements of factual information or existing policy regarding the subject. And I do have 2 people who have signed up, but they have items on the agenda, so I will hold your comment till we get to those items on the agenda. I currently have David Garza and Robert Hackler. Is there anyone else that wished to sign up that did not? Okay, you two we will get when we get to those items on the agenda. Okay. Now at this time, we'll go on to the consent agenda. Does any commissioner wish to remove anything off the consent agenda and place it on the meeting agenda?
No, ma'am.
No.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Next item on our agenda is a presentation. And this is, I would like to recognize several members of our commission that for their dedicated service to Texas veterans and their families as they will be completing their service this year. And so we wanted to bring everybody forward so we can present an award to Commissioner Dale, Commissioner Hernandez, and Commissioner Barber. So let's all come to the front.
I'm first. So we're going to start with the certificate from the governor. State of Texas, Governor, to all whom these presents shall come, greetings. Know ye that this certificate is presented upon the retirement of Kevin, I'm going to read it one time for all 3. Kevin Barber, 2017 to 2026. Mary Lopez Dale, 2020 to 2026. Mike Hernandez, 2020 to 2026. Texas Veterans Commission. As Governor of Texas, I am proud to offer congratulations as you begin your well-deserved retirement. At the very heart of the Texas spirit lies an abiding desire to serve our fellow man, and there are few finer examples of this ethos than state employees. After years of dedicated service to the people of Texas, your remarkable career draws to a close, and there can be no doubt that the state of Texas is better off for your efforts. Though the scope of your career is vast, it pales in comparison to the impacts you have made on individual lives and the example you have set for your loved ones. Public service is both a noble calling and a profound honor, for it is rooted in public trust. You have proven yourself trustworthy, and the trust the Texans bestowed upon you, your legacy of servant leadership will echo throughout the ages long. On this special occasion and hereafter, First Lady Cecilia Abbott and I wish you and yours all the best. in testimony whereof I have hereunto signed my name and caused the seal of the state of Texas to be affixed at the city of Austin on this 9th day of January 2026. Signed, Greg Abbott, Governor of Texas.
All right, so the next one reads, the state of Texas House of Representatives, this certifies that the Texas flags herewith presented to Commissioner Kevin Barber, Commissioner Mary Lopez Dale, and Commissioner Mike Hernandez by the Texas Veterans Commission were flown at the capital of the sovereign state of Texas, January 12th, 2026, in appreciation of their service to Texas veterans and their families. In witness thereof and pursuant to the authority vested in me, I have hereunto set my hand and seal of office at Austin, Texas, this 13th day of January 2026 AD, signed Kara Coffey, Sergeant at Arms, Texas House of Representatives.
Right. Next, we have a certificate of appreciation presented to Kevin Barber, Mary Lopez Dale, and Mike Hernandez in appreciation of your outstanding service to the Texas Veterans Commission. Your leadership, commitment, and dedication to duty as a TVC commissioner have directly contributed to the success of this organization. Know that your efforts have improved the overall quality of life for all Texas veterans, their families, and survivors. Your service brings great credit upon yourself, the Texas Veterans Commission, and the great state of Texas. Signed by Chairwoman Laura Kerner, all the commissioners, and Executive Director Tom Palladino. And also an appreciation for your service, the coveted eagle.
Oh, okay, great.
Good whiskey.
It's been a personal honor to serve with all three of you. I know, Kevin, you've been here the whole time I've been here, and Mary and Chuck, Mike, you've joined since I was on as a commission. So I'm just honored to have been able to serve with you. All of you have served well and done amazing things for Texas veterans. Now I miss you all, but I'm sure we'll keep in touch.
Please do.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so moving on. Next is our reports. agenda item 5A, which includes the agency programs and division updates, and I'll call on each leader to provide an update to the commission. So first will be the Veteran Benefits Division Director, Charlie Cato.
Good morning, Chair Kerner, Commissioners, Mr. Palladino, and all our guests. For the record, I'm Charlie Cato, the Division Director for Veterans Benefits. Off with claims, we're going to cover performance measures for each of the departments, and then just a couple of good news stories for everything that goes along. So starting with the performance measures for claims, one thing I'll just say up front that all of the performance measures within the Veterans Benefits Division either met or exceeded their targets for the first quarter. That's the big picture. Specifically, there are 3 measures for the claims department. The number of claims filed, that one met the target, was in the target range. Active VA cases exceeded the target. That demonstrates that we have more veterans and survivors receiving benefits within the state of Texas for that first quarter than we projected. We put these targets in the last legislative session. It is actually and good for Texas veterans and the Texas economy. That money is flowing. For the number of claims reviewed, that exceeded the target as well. Again, good news story is our strike force staff do more VA decisions and more likely find measure of active cases receiving benefits. Our new set of performance measures. Now I'll go with the claims good news. We had a veteran, and as it turned out, this veteran had done the normal thing that you hear, filed a claim, was denied, started the appeal. The veteran passed away while it was stuck at the Board of Veteran Appeals. The transfer of the process went over to the veteran's spouse. She became the beneficiary. Believe it or not, the hearing actually took place in 2024, and there was no decision presented to the veteran. That case was referred to us through Representative Cesar's office in October of last year. And our TVC staff, Will Chick in particular, was able to go into the system in October and find that, the hearing had indeed happened, but there was no decision written, nothing was done. And he was able to unclog it. And last week, the representative's office notified the surviving spouse that not only was the initial condition service-connected, but that also was what caused the fatality. So the veteran death was service-connected, resulting in a retro payment of over $120,000 to the widow. So a really good news story, great stuff that our staff does all the time. That's life-impacting money. Okay, on to healthcare. We'll go to the healthcare performance measure. They have one, and their performance measure, number of veterans services, they exceeded their goal. The HCAD staff was able to reach and assist more veterans than they projected, and that's just hard work and great outreach, looking for veterans, trying to give them service. So that's good. More services than we projected we were going to be able to give. On a sad note in the Healthcare Advocacy Department, in January, our director, Gary Lee, retired. So he finished up his in-the-office service at the end of January, and his actual retirement date is the end of February. That job is posted, and we anticipate doing interviews next week or the week after next to fill that. In the interim, William Pryor, the operations manager for HCAD, is running the show for us, and he's doing a great job. On to veterans education. The veterans education also has one performance measure, and it's the number of approvals completed in the first quarter. We greatly exceeded that one, but that is not unusual. That just reflects kind of the academic year where you have schools doing new catalogs for the fall semester and submitting them to get approved. So great work handling that wave of work by Veterans Education. We expect it to level out towards the remainder of the year, but they exceeded the target, which is a good thing. Let's see, other things on education. I wanted to bring up the Veterans Education's Hazelwood database project. As you all know, we started this from the previous legislature, not the last one, but the one before that. It's been a long road to get it through. We had hoped to go live in December, but because of the some really good cooperation with the contractor and with our user acceptance testing, both our staff and participating schools across the state helping us test it out and see if we could break it. Well, we broke it in a few places. Which is a good thing because we broke it before students or schools had to be frustrated with it. Some minor things that got fixed. We had one major that is holding us up right now, and it has to do with how the schools, the large schools like UT, submit their information. They do it with a CSV file, a comma varied data or something. Anyway, that file was doing some weird things, and it turns out that is very intertwined with a lot of stuff in the database. So we've been going back and forth with the contractor. They're very cooperative. We expect to have the fix released to us for testing next week, and hopefully we'll be able to go live very soon after that. So more to follow. We're real excited about the database. It's going to be web-based. It also will be released with an iOS and an Android app on your phone. So it's going to be a real modern thing. We want it to come out right. So that's what the delay is. Okay, and last but not least, the Veterans Mental Health Department for their performance measures. Again, they have one performance measure, and it's the number of veterans mental health outreaches. They exceeded their target. They are on target. And I say they exceeded their target, but they are actually on target. But it is a good news story. As you recall, that first quarter for the Veterans Mental Health Department has been quite a turmoil of expanding, writing new processes, hiring a lot of people. Besides all of that growth with the transfer of the program to us from HHSC, they were able to hit their target. And it just bodes even better things in the future as they get fully staffed, fully organized, and ready to go. And with that, if there are no questions from me, I'd like to invite Brenda Keller, who is our Director of Veterans Mental Health, to give you a wrap up on the Veterans Treatment Court report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlie.
Good morning, Chair Kerner and Commissioners. I'm Brenda Keller, the Director of the Veterans Mental Health Department. Texas Government Code 124.007 requires that the Texas Veterans Commission provides an annual report to the governor and legislature about veteran treatment courts from the preceding fiscal year. This report includes the number of veterans who participated in each veterans treatment court, the number of veterans who successfully completed the court program, the number of veterans that did not successfully complete, and the amount of grant funding that was received by each treatment court. This report can be found in your packet. We know that early identification and prompt placement of eligible veterans into specialty courts is important because it creates access to a continuum of alcohol, controlled substance, mental health, and other essential treatment and rehabilitative services. These courts are unique because they take a non-adversarial approach and include the veteran's family in the process. At the time of this report's publication, there were 32 verified veteran treatment courts operating across 42 Texas counties. There are currently 212 total registered specialty courts in Texas, so veteran treatment courts represents about 15% of the specialty courts in Texas. Based on the data collected for fiscal year 25, the total funding for the Texas Veteran Treatment Court program is a little over $6,730,000. The majority of that funding, 72%, came from the TVC Fund for Veterans Assistance. 14% of the funding came from the Office of the Governor Criminal Justice Department. A little over 6% of the funding came from the U.S. Department of Justice. and a little over 6% of that came from SAMHSA, or the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. Over the past 4 years, from 2022 to 2025, the number of veterans served in these specialty courts steadily grew at approximately a 15% rate. Successful completion of the court program also grew at about a 12% rate. Grant funding has reached its highest level yet in fiscal year 2025, indicating that there is an increased investment in veteran-supported programs. We support veteran treatment courts through, of course, all of the funding that we give them, as well as our Justice Involved Veterans program housed in the Mental Health Department. We have 2 program managers and multiple peer support coordinators across the state that provide support and technical assistance to each of these courts. I'll start with the areas of improvement so I can end with what we're doing well. So some areas I think that we could improve on this program is more accurate and streamlined data reporting. So currently there's no standard or they don't have to report their data to us, and each court gets to track their data however they want to. So some of the courts are, sophisticatedly tracking their data. Some, are doing hash marks on a piece of paper. So the data I think is okay, but I think it could be better. And I think we could have a more streamlined process. And because the courts get to choose whether they share the data with us or not, they are not compelled to share the data with us. I mean, we have very good relationships with the courts, but this year we did have 3 courts that did not share their data with us. So this data is not totally accurate. There were 3 courts that we did not get data from. So I do think that this is an area that we could focus on this year and try to improve. Some accomplishments that we've had this year, we have given over 147 instances of advanced technical assistance to these courts. We have provided a 3-hour live online training where we broke down the steps of creating a treatment court and then maintaining a treatment court. We recorded that, and now we have that as a really nice product that we can give judges and courts that are thinking about starting up a court. It's kind of like, hey, watch this. This is a good primer to kind of get started. We also had the Mind Matters Summit this year, and I know some of you attended, and there was a well-attended session highlighting the success of the veteran treatment courts, and we had one of the specialty court coordinators there, we had one of the judges there, and so that was really well received, and we're going to try to continue to do that on an annual basis. We work really hard to maintain positive relationships with all of the judges and their staff, as well as the specialty court staff. We have 2 new and enthusiastic Justice Involved staff that we recently hired, and one is coming to us directly from the specialty court world, so she will be a really great asset with this. I think our goal this year will be to continue to support the existing courts as well as encourage the creation of new courts, and keeping that goal of maintaining a growth rate of about 15%. I think that's a really nice, sustainable growth rate. So hopefully we'll continue to see around a 15% growth rate of new courts coming on board. This is what I prepared. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Brenda. Any questions, commissioners?
I have a question.
Okay. Commissioner
Only
Hernandez.
3 veterans treatment courts that did not report their data. Were they LFVA grant recipients?
Oh, that's a good question, sir. I believe they were, yes. I think definitely 2 out of the 3 I know off of the top of my head were. 1, I'm not sure, but for definitely 2 of them were, sir. And I'm very sad that we weren't able to get data from them. We're not exactly sure. We're continuing to reach out to them. And again, kind of like Charlie explained, we've had some turnover. And so we have 2 new Justice Involved staff, but definitely one of our priorities is for them to be able to make positive contact with all of the courts and offer our support. And clearly something's going on with these 3 courts, right? They might have had a new judge or some kind of staff turnover. So we're going to try to get to the bottom of that this year.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? I do have a following question. So this might be actually for Irv, but maybe you can take it back. Is when we sign our FEA agreements with these courts, is there a requirement for them to provide data to get reimbursed? And if we're getting that data, could that be used for you instead of if they're not reporting the other way? And I would like maybe for next year for RFA to potentially have in there a requirement that they provide you data for this report. So we could look into that, but just kind of put a little note for that for the next RFA.
Absolutely, ma'am. Yeah, Irv and I collaborate all the time. It's a great idea.
Yeah.
And I don't know the answer to that, but I think that it could easily be something that we could think through.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Next will be our Veteran Services Division Director, Chip Osborne.
Morning, Chair Kerner, Commissioners, Mr. Palladino, Directors, and guests. For the record, my name is Chip Osborne. I'm the Division Director for Veteran Services. I would like to go over with my departments on their performance measures, starting off with our Veteran Entrepreneur Program. Their annual target for the year is 7,444 services to veterans. As you can clearly see, they've already achieved 4,364. So they have well exceeded their quarter performance goal by 58.62%. And that's an excellent job with Megan and her team of 5 folks. Our next performance measure is the Women's Veterans Program. And again, their annual target for the year is 30,000. They've already hit that and exceeded that for the year at 31,622 of providing various services, activities with our women veterans within the state of Texas. And that's an excellent job by the Women's Program with Crystal and her team of 5. And then lastly, I would like to roll into our FEA department with their grants. We've got the General Assistance Grant. It has a benchmark for the year of 20,000. They've already hit 9,862, exceeded their target at 49.31%. Excellent job of providing services that those grant organizations are doing with our veterans and their families. Our Housing for Texas Heroes is, so the target is 250 for the year. That's 62.5 for the quarter. They're right at 24.40%, which is 0.6 below. So not even a whole percent below, but they're working on making sure that we get those numbers. So we will continue to work on both of those measures. One is the number of veterans actually served, and then the other one is actually the modification of the homes. And then lastly, we have our Veteran Treatment Court. For the year, it's 1,000 veterans being served. As you can see, we've already exceeded that target by 1,695. Excellent job with our Veteran Treatment Courts, working with those veterans to help adjudicate those processes. This last footnote that I do want to share, you've heard us talk about the FEA department. We actually have done a name change to the FEA department. It is now called Grants for Veteran Services, GVS. Why? Why did we propose that to Mr. Palladino for his approval? Here's why. They are basically, in the statute, it talks about the FEA program. In addition, you heard Charlie mention earlier how HHSC transferred the whole mental health program over to us. Inside of that is a piece under subchapter J of our grant program known as the Texas Veteran and Family Alliance Program, which is $10 million dedicated solely to mental health services. There is a third grant that's really a pass-through. It's a federal grant that we got from the VA, and it's called our Highly Rural Transportation Grant. So there's actually 3 programs that the director, Irv, and Joanna are responsible for. So because of that, we came up with that name. We got it vetted with Tom. And so now the FEA department is now known again as Grants for Veteran Services. And that concludes my presentation, subject to your questions.
Thank you, Chip. Any questions? Oh, we have one question. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And it's a really good job. I'm really, let me get to the right spot. And I will say while I'm getting there, great job by the Women's Veterans Program. I'm excited to see so much that's out there. My question as we go to the Entrepreneur Program, what constitutes a veteran service?
Sure. For any veteran that comes to Megan's program, it could be assisting a veteran on filing for their company with the Secretary of State's office, on helping them develop their plan, their business plan. So that's a service there. The verification letter, getting them that in accordance with the tax code from the State Comptroller's Office, because we have that responsibility. It's in their code as well as in their rules. So that's another type of service. Doing consultation with a veteran, because some veterans will say, I'm thinking about doing this, but once we start telling them all of the other requirements, the financial, you need a lawyer, you need to have a separate account, then some of them back out. So we do document that.
Yep.
Okay. That's just a few examples.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
But Chip, I would say the vast majority of those interactions is that verification letter, correct?
Yes, ma'am. We've actually pointed that out in the performance measure, about 61%. Yes, ma'am.
Because I remember we had quite a backlog for a while, and we had to
Yes, ma'am.
ramp up to do that. Okay. Thank you, Chip.
Yes, ma'am.
And I believe next is Michelle Nall, who's going to be talking about our operating budget. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I jumped ahead. Sorry. Sean, you go first.
Good morning, Chairwoman, Commissioners, Mr. Palladino, and guests. For the record, my name is Sean DeBay, the Deputy Executive Director for the Texas Veterans Commission. I'd have a couple of quick updates for you, and then I will be followed by Michelle Nall, the CFO, as well as Margaret Hessian, who's going to go over a lot of the social media metrics in her outreach plan. I do want to just comment about what's in your folder. The first folder is the performance measures for Veterans Outreach. The second will be the operating budget, which Michelle will touch upon, and then the comms social media report folder, where Margaret will be diving a little bit deeper into that. First, the performance measures. The target for veteran engagements is 1 million. After the first quarter, we're well over 600,000 engagements. That's due in a large part to what Margaret will be going over in a little bit, which is our social media effort, as well as just the amazing jobs that these programs have done outreaching veterans as well. But she'll dive deeper into the reasons why we're doing so well with that measure. Internal audit, just a reminder, our internal auditor, I know she's not here because they've just about to start. Just a reminder, they're going to be covering our complaint process as well as our records retention. And they're about to do a kickoff meeting to start those. And at the next commission meeting, she should be here to be able to give you an update on where they're at with the internal audit, but they have not quite started yet. The other thing I wanted to mention was our Texas Veterans Services Portal, which is basically a data management system that we got in this last legislative session. We're so excited to get the resources for this data management system. What it's supposed to do is allow us to proactively reach out to veterans before they need the service. Too many times they show up for our services after the need is already there. So we're trying to proactively reach out to them. Super excited about it. We had a meeting on January 28th. All the departments met with Deloitte and the Department of Information Resources to kick this off about what our pain points, what do we need, and they're doing in this information gathering stage. This will be done in 3 sprints. This is a 3-year project. The first sprint is going to be we get information from the Defense Manpower Data Center from the Department of Defense. This is where veterans opt in when they're transitioning out, saying, hey, Texas, we want you to have our contact information. So it's going to use that information. It's also the first sprint is going to have 3 of our programs that use Salesforce as a platform. That's our healthcare advocacy program, entrepreneur, and women veterans program. That'll be the first sprint. The second sprint will incorporate some of the larger programs with different platforms. And then on the third and final sprint, we're going to be partnering with other state agencies using their contact information for veterans. What's super important, and I can't emphasize enough, is having quality, updated contact information, because information tends to get stale very quickly. So that's something very, very important to us, Deloitte and DIR, to make sure this information is kept up. That's why it's so important we partner with these other state agencies. We've already been reaching out. James Crabtree, our legislative director, has been amazing at reaching out to them and starting that, because even though it's a third sprint, 3 years from now, we want to get those agreements in place as soon as possible. So subject to your questions, that's all I have, and we can bring up Michelle Null if you have no questions for me.
I apologize for skipping over you, Sean. I don't have any questions. Any questions, commissioners? Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay. The long-awaited Michelle Null. Sorry.
Oh, wait. Did you have a
Oh,
question?
do you have a question? I'm sorry. Come back, Sean. I'm sorry. Commissioner Hernandez has a question.
No, in the information of transitioning, is a bulk of that information taken from the Transition Assistance Program?
Correct. There's an opt-in form that 6 months or longer, but when you know you're going to get out, they will have the opportunity to say, yes, I want Texas. There's actually a box you can check all the states if you want all the states to get it, or if you're coming back home to Texas or you want Texas to get your information, they check that box. Right now, we get that information, which is amazing, but we don't have a vehicle to use it. It's so huge, and there's so much information in there. This is so needed, so we can use this to use it as a vehicle to contact them. But yes, it's a transitioning. Actually, it's not, I don't know if it's through TAP, but they do have an option at some point during the process to fill this form out.
The other question I had was the filing a claim before getting out of the service. Do you receive the information of filing a claim before they transition out?
I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know if we have somebody from the benefits department or something that can answer that. Thanks.
Okay. Yes, please come
Probably
up.
to the rescue.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Charlie, if you could answer that.
So your question is about BDD claims, benefits, delivery before discharge. We cooperate with the installations across Texas. We actually have claims benefit advisors on Fort Bliss and claims benefit advisors at Fort Hood that do work specifically those claims for veterans. It's a little bit different. We're not using the data that Sean was talking about yet to proactively reach for those folks yet. But we catch them at the base, at the post, at the fort.
Well, the thing is, Charlie, the Transition Assistance Program is a national requirement for our transitioning service members. You just received the information for Texas?
The file that Sean was talking about that we get from the Defense Manpower Data Center, DMDC, that includes those veterans who have both opted in to share their information and selected Texas or selected all states. So that's the information we get. That information includes first name, last name, address, email address, and it's a civilian email address, not their military address. I will tell you, having looked at the data, it's not clean data. So, some of the addresses are all in one field versus city, state, street. So that's why we need the system that Sean was talking about to be able to help us manage that kind of data. The first download that we got, if you've ever seen an Excel spreadsheet with 350,000 rows, it's just too much to be able to handle. It's got to be automated.
Okay, thank you, Charlie.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, Michelle.
Good morning, Chairwoman Kerner, fellow commissioners, Mr. Palladino. For the record, my name is Michelle Null. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for the Texas Veterans Commission. If you take a look at the document that's in front of you, it's the first quarter operating budget for fiscal year 26 ending November 30th of 2025. For the first quarter, you can see on that first block up top, we've spent $12.8 million in expenditures. Go down to the bottom block. Those expenditures were funded by $67.4 million in appropriations. Of these appropriations, you can see we have $42 million, which we received in general revenue during this quarter. We also have $20.7 million in the Fund for Veterans Assistance that was received in the first quarter. To keep in mind, that wasn't what revenues that were earned in the quarter, there's approximately $10 million that we moved forward from prior years of DOBs and unobligated of about $10 million, which also includes the $3 million set aside that we do. We have a little over 2,800 in license plate revenues for the quarter. And then you will see the $3.3 million in a rider appropriations that we receive. We borrow from the comptroller's office to help fund our veteran services and our Vets Ed federal programs because of the timing. It takes time to receive the grant funds, but things have to keep rolling. Operating expenditures keep going. So we kind of borrow until we receive the funds. With that being said, if you go down to the federal funds, you can see we only received $1.4 million within that quarter just for the veteran state grants, which supports our veterans employment services. So without the Rider 4 funds, we wouldn't be able to continue operating in education or veteran services programs. So for the quarter, if you look at the ratio from expenditures to funding, we're at 19%. But as Mr. Bldg talked about, we received $3.1 million related to SB 1814 for the Texas Veteran Service Portal, which in that quarter we had no expenditures. So we've gotten $3.1 million, and then as Mr. Auburn discussed, the $13.9 million from Health and Human Services, which also was received in the first quarter for the TVFA grants and the mental health contracts. For the first part of the year, Health and Human Services is administering those, and they're going to transfer it over to TVC the second part of the year, and they're going to bill us for their portion that they've been servicing. So we've received approximately $15 million where we have no expenditures. So if we didn't account for those resources, we would be at about 25% in spending ratio to our appropriations. Therefore, that concludes my brief for this document. Before I go on to the next, pending any questions?
Any questions? Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, if you take a look at the second document, it's fiscal year 26, the Fund for Veterans. Sorry, I'll change that title, but Fund for Veterans Assistance Revenue Estimation for the first quarter. Well, actually, from November 13th to February 12th, this commission meeting, you will see we have total annual revenues of approximately $49.1 million. Our annual lottery revenues went down slightly, about $346,000, but our unclaimed prizes went up about $425,000. Other revenues from other department, state agencies went down a little, about $315,000 we received. We're estimating $4.8 million. Our UB, we did a little more cleanup in 24 for some deobligations, so we moved forward about $561,000 during this quarter with the total of $49.1 million. Going down to the FVA expenditures, the expenditures for the year went down approximately $292 at $3.7 million. They had a little bit timing of hiring folks. And then we have the $3 million set aside. There's also the $570,000 of which Mr. Leos will discuss when we get to Agenda 6, requesting additional grant funds that will reduce the revenues. Therefore, we have an estimated amount, if you approve the $570 of additional grantee funding requests, of $41.7 million. If you do not include that $570, we'll have $42.33 million available, estimated to be available for 27 grants. Therefore, that concludes my brief, pending any questions.
Thank you, Michelle. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I believe, is Margaret, who's going to talk about social media metrics.
Testing.
We can hear you. Thank you.
All right. Good morning, Chairwoman Kerner, Commissioners, Executive Director Palladino. For the record, I'm Margaret Hessian, Director of Communications and Veteran Outreach. So today I'm sharing a snapshot of our 2025 outreach, and that covers what we worked on, what we achieved, what we learned, and what we're building on in terms of momentum. Before we look at the numbers, I want to share a reality that drives our team every single day. So the Texas 2024 A&M Needs Assessment, that showed that a certain amount of Texas veterans were not aware that the TVC existed. To some of these veterans, TVC remains a best-kept secret. In 2025, we worked very hard to change that. That's our mission. This report isn't just a collection of metrics. It's the story of how we are evolving to meet veterans where they are, online, in their communities, and through trusted media. I've provided you separately with an updated 2026 communications plan, but for today's purposes, I plan to guide us through the highlights of this digital and media outreach report. And in the interest of time, I will not go through every single slide. Jumping through reference, so the goal in 2025 was 1, increase awareness, 2, increase engagement, and 3, increase access for all veterans. In order to do this, we look at 3 connected areas. So we look at social media, which will show our reach today. We look at the website, and that's going to show our intent. And then earned media, which shows our statewide credibility. And together, these 3 will tell us how veterans move from awareness into action. And then we'll jump right into a lot of data. I promise I'll be brief. So looking at the year in review, all of these metrics, they're all taken from a Hootsuite analytics report comparing 2025 social data to 2024. And it covers 5 of our social channels on YouTube: Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, X, and YouTube. Of course, the real story for 2025 isn't posting volume, it's impact. In 2025, looking at our screen on the left-hand side, we hit 6.3 million impressions, up 5.1 million from 2024. So that means really our content appeared on screens 5 times more often than it did in 2024. Our communication plan sets a benchmark of 5% success annual growth. In 2025, we exceeded that goal, adding over 11,000 new followers to our community and growing our social audience by almost 18%, which is more than triple our 5% success benchmark. Clicks, those jumped to 42%, showing more veterans are actively seeking TVC programs and services. Reactions, those rose 34%. Shares were up 61%, which is vital because shares extend our reach. And so they're actually telling us that people like our content, they're sharing it. We only share something that's if it's helpful to us or we find it helpful. Engagement, which includes reactions, comments, shares, those all rose significantly. Engagement is also one of our formal performance measures, so this confirms that our content is resonating with Texas veterans. These metrics tell us that social media has officially become a dependable front door for TVC services. Why did this growth happen? Let's take a look. There's a few reasons. So number 1, comms brought on a new Teams member in 2025. In March, Ian Willing joined the team, and he was splitting his time and does between video and social. And I think having a dedicated focus and staff, even 50% of the time with social media, has really made a huge difference. We also had a stronger content strategy and planning. We provided information that veterans wanted to know, so of course the content resonates. We had more consistent scheduling, that makes a difference. Our content allowed us to tag our partner veteran organizations, so more eyeballs on us. We had a small targeted paid component supporting some of our key posts, but the content is key. Finally, increased sharing, especially from leadership, commissioners, partners, and staff. That truly matters. So I wanted to thank all of you today. We see the impact of this very clearly in today's numbers, so please keep doing what you're doing and continue to share. Next slide. Only one metric across all of our metrics declined in 2025. So here I want to address video performance very candidly and upfront. Videos views declined this year largely due to staffing transitions and capacity. And then to address this in 2026 moving forward, we've already drafted our strategic video plan, and that focuses on human-centered storytelling and more video. On a more positive note, all of the other numbers went up. Comments doubled, up 100%. In some ways, comments are even more important. Comments show that veterans trust us, veteran service organizations. Veterans feel comfortable asking questions publicly, engaging, commenting, and our team is right there to answer. Just a quick note that if we are increasing 100% in comments on the front end, then my team is increasing their work and responding on the back end 100% too. So we're busy, and that's good. Top performing platform is Facebook. I'm going to go through these really quickly. I don't want to bore everybody with all of these, but I did think it was helpful to show Facebook and LinkedIn. Those are our two primary channels. Secondary would be Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. So looking at the next slide, Facebook is doing great. So where Facebook really outperformed others, it is our, compared to the year prior, impressions are up 4.9 million from 31,000 in 2024. And again, I'll go through these really quickly. Followers up 19%. Posts are only up 2%. But the interesting thing about posts only being up 2%, it means we really posted almost the same as we did last year, but we got 5 million more impressions. So that means something, right? It's relevant. Shares are up 67%. And in order for folks to share something, especially the veteran community, it has to be helpful and resonate. Top performing secondary is LinkedIn. And in short, up 185,000 from 2024. Our shares increased 70%, 69. Again, reflects a much stronger connection with employers and partners on this channel, helping us get veterans back to work. Always fun to share top posts and then determine why they're doing so well or why they're number one. Just a little different. I'm going to look at Facebook and LinkedIn. At the back of these slides, take home, you have all of the other channels too, but I'm just going to look at Facebook and LinkedIn today. So on Facebook, reach is how we commute or figure out how we're doing. And then on LinkedIn, it's impressions that we look at. So our top social media posts for Facebook, we track what resonates, right? Because it also determines what kind of content we're going to use in the future going forward. In 2025, the winners were clear: practical, service-driven content that veterans found helpful. So our top Facebook posts were one on the left-hand side, reading left to right, and I've highlighted the reach numbers. So Texas veteran toll road discounts with 562,000 in reach. A post on VLB land sale, 223,000 in reach. And then a DFPS hiring event, 192. Our hiring posts always do well across all of our platforms. And I would just add, reach is sort of the who's reaching, and then impressions are how often, how many people see it on their screens. LinkedIn, very quickly, top posts left to right. We are hiring. 2, VA education benefits update, and then 3, a partner post from Texas Parks and Wildlife suicide awareness post. And then I'm going to jump to paid digital ad metrics. And I thought this was important to show us today how that has helped. So Google search remains absolutely critical because it captures veterans actively. So the difference is, whereas paid social, we go out and find veterans, we seek them, we target them, Google Ads, veterans find us. So they're looking for us and we're meeting them where they are. Google. And our top Google search ads, we have a general awareness on the left-hand side, 14,000 clicks on slide 15. We have a 4.63 million in grants, and then we have an FVA advisory application. And we measure those by determining the website sessions, right? So that's how we measure whether or not we've been successful in that area. And then I'll go back really briefly. Again, the top Facebook and Instagram ads, 602,000 impressions for our general awareness. And the general awareness is like advertising our benefits and our services. Veterans over 55, 328,000 impressions, and a mental health awareness, 247,000. Because I touched on web and driving people to the web, I want to do this. I have like 3 slides in here, but I'm going to run over them really quickly. I know I have too many slides. I apologize. So website sessions increased due to consistent content publishing, paid advertising, improved visibility across our platforms. The website remains our digital storefront. So in Q1 alone, we had nearly 200,000 website engagements. And those always followed our media coverage and the social campaigns we ran. They actually run right alongside. And looking at those very quickly, we saw an increase, 4.8% in website sessions, up from $1 million in 2024. I'll just mention no surprises on the top pages. They always seem to be the same. Hazelwood Education, followed by our homepage where all our programs are, followed by property tax exemption. And then this slide just basically says folks are staying on, they're visiting and they're staying longer on the website, which is good. It's relevant. I'm going to shift into earned media, and our public affairs officer, Jim Halbrook, handles our media. I assist. And you will be hearing from him a little later today with the Excellence in Media Awards that he's going to present on. Okay. So earned media remains our most credible engine. It's free. I'm going to pull. Since we don't have a paid media budget, we rely totally on earned media. In 2025, TVC appeared in over 1,900 news stories, generating $25.6 million in free publicity value. Meanwhile, we pitched some interviews across Texas and then some, and with a little help from our friends, we were very successful. The next two slides I included show our leadership, our commissioners and our staff all across Texas, four corners, talking to media. So this slide shows us just a sample of our commissioners from all regions talking to media and during interviews. And then the next slide is our TVC staff. So it's not just about volume and the amount of interviews you do. Of course, it's quality. It's also about alignment and being present. But it's about everybody talking TVC programs, benefit services at the same time, from the top down. This slide I threw in because I thought it was important from a UT poll, and it's a reference slide. As the poll shows in the red box, the image displays the percentage of Texans who reported using various platforms as a source for news in the last week. And the top three, 43% of Texans reported getting it from local TV news. 42% reported getting it from some form of social, 38% from cable TV news, and 33%. So, and again, our media approach on that would be to continue to do what we're doing, being where it matters, leveraging local television for that rural aspect. And I'll touch on that next slide. Slide 25. Three-tiered media strategy. I promise, going to go through all of this. I'm just going to highlight. So we approach media in three tiers. Local, to bridge the rural gaps. And we see a lot of that in the TVC needs assessment, right? Reaching veterans where they are locally and rurally. Statewide, to build our authority, and then on a national, to position Texas as the leader in veteran services. And that example, Texas has more veterans than any other state. Texas has more female veterans than any state, which we're very proud of, and it's the Texas model. What happens if one of these channels dips, falls, numbers aren't looking good? We are using an integrated outreach model with everything that we do, so we don't rely on any one single channel. We use an intentionally layered approach. Social drives our awareness. Earned media builds that credibility. It's not us talking about how great we are. The earned credibility with the media it's a third party talking about how great we are. So veterans tend to trust that more. And the website supports the action. So these are the three legs of the stool that keep our outreach all stable. Before I move to my final slide, I want to take a moment. I want to recognize that today's numbers don't just happen accidentally. They happen because of the people behind the curtain working on the numbers and working on that outreach. So I wanted to take a moment to thank my team, Ian Willing, Jim Halbrook, who you'll hear from in a little bit, Crystal Whalen, Julia Connor, Eric Alvarado, and Deja Powell for their smart work. And I say smart because we're a smaller team, so we're strategic and we work smartly to get a lot done. Thank you also to leadership for all the support and allowing us to do a job that we absolutely love, outreaching veterans. Finally, my last slide. Okay, it's coming. Sorry. The road to 100, a century of service and a future of impact. I'm so proud. As we close, I want to look ahead to our next chapter. In March 2027, the Texas Veterans Commission will officially mark its 100th anniversary. We're already moving forward with our Road to 100 campaign to prepare the agency for this milestone. The rollout is sort of built, we're planning it still on 3 core assets. So an official centennial celebration. We're hoping to plan a major event at the Texas Capitol in March to honor our 1927 roots, but more specifically to honor and thank those who brought us into existence and supported us through the last 100 years. Legacy branding, we're going to be developing a specific whole campaign of deliverables. TVC logo 100, a historic timeline, a challenge coin, social banners, and all other major assets. The branding, we hope, will be the wrapper that will make our services more visible and approachable than ever before. So while the branding sets the stage, we're launching the campaign behind the scenes throughout this year, 2026, into 2027 to highlight veteran success stories. Overall, this isn't about a party, but it is about a party. It's about honoring the visionaries who brought us into existence and ensuring that when a veteran sees that 100-year seal, they see an agency that is ready for the next 100 years. We're not just looking back, we're looking forward. And with that, that brings me to the end of my report. Thank you for your time, your patience, and your support, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Margaret. I just want to make one comment. Thank you so much for the amazing work your staff does. And you didn't mention all the other stuff you do behind the scenes, which is prepare scripts and speeches for all the major events that we do, which is a lot of behind the scenes work, which we really appreciate. I also want to highlight for our commissioners that when we have our centennial celebration, we will be inviting every former commissioner to this event, as well as former staff. So don't worry, you won't miss out. You will be invited. I hope you can attend. And do we have any questions? Okay, Commissioner Wright.
So, and I'd like to dovetail on the report that Mr. Cato gave. I know, and one thing I didn't see mentioned, and it might be in here, I'll go back and look at it more closely. I know we put out our e-newsletters.
Yes, we do.
As we are developing Salesforce with our new computer program, do we intend to use email marketing? And I love things like social media and email because they're free. I mean, they have a cost that you've got to put into it, but we're already paying salary, so there's not really a cost there. But we could. Yep. Are we going to continue to develop that larger, as we're just tapping every possible avenue?
Thank you, Commissioner Wright, for your question. Your question is very timely because yesterday I had a meeting with the folks in Deloitte who we're working with, and it was sort of an information gathering. So two of the questions they asked was, Margaret, can you go through everything you're using right now? Can you talk about the email marketing and the EVETs? EVETs is what we use to reach 150,000 veterans right now. And I talked to them about, sure, we will absolutely continue to outreach through email marketing, but not every veteran reads emails, right? So we reach veterans in so many different ways, and the needs assessment told us that, right? That we're constantly looking to make sure that we diversify outreach, make sure that we use every avenue. I think working with Deloitte, there's still so many more options on the table. We haven't even imagined the capabilities, which is all great news. So at a minimum, we will be using what we've been using before, and the communications plan sort of goes into that in a greater detail about all the different channels, avenues, everything from outreach events to social media to paid, et cetera. So there's no one way to reach them, even through in person, right? In-person events, all of those have increased. I know personally, I've seen, since I've come on in September, I've seen it and I've talked to other staff of how busy we are, so much busier this year. So that's a good thing. With outreach, finally, I'd like us to be, open up all of our options, right? Be so much more digital, be so much more strategic, meet them where they are. And again, because not everybody's on checking emails, making sure we're talking to them at town halls or listening sessions, in newspapers, in ads. Commissioner, you helped connect me with someone with public service announcements and looking into that, billboards that we've looked at before, et cetera, et cetera. So my team and I are ready to exhaust every possibility to reach veterans.
Wonderful. And if I could follow up, it's slightly different. You had mentioned we have 76,000 plus followers on social media platforms.
Combined, yes.
Combined. Do we know how many of those are unique? For example, I'm following us on 3. So am I 3 or am I just 1?
We can do so. Hootsuite reports on a lot. Sometimes we have to go into the channels themselves on the back end to look. So with LinkedIn, and I do have it here. Some of it depends. The answer is it depends, Commissioner. But what I can do is I can print out natively. I can go into each channel. We can print reports and we can show you all of that. But yes,
I'm not sure. It was really more just my own curiosity.
Okay.
Don't waste time on something like that. Just keep getting the word out there.
Thank you so much.
I do have a question. This one actually might be for Tom or Sean. It said multiple times in the presentation that we don't have a budget for paid media, or I mean, to pay for marketing, for instance. So my question is, could we? I mean, we're getting ready for the next legislative session. Is that something we could put in as exceptional item for paid marketing? Many agencies have that. I mean, to pay for billboards, to pay for whatever.
And I do want to mention that we did find some money in the budget last year. Angela and her team did, to do some billboards. So that's the first time we'd done billboards last time. With the paid media part, we haven't traditionally done that. So we experimented a little, and we saw from experimenting a little bit last year with leftover. It wasn't assigned, it wasn't attributed. But I would also refer to the division directors, Chip and Charlie and Sean, on that in terms of how much we're allowed.
There's a difference between finding budget and having budget.
There is no dedicated funds for advertising or marketing. We looked in our budget and we can find some funds there to pay for a small amount. But that is something we could request in the LAR.
Okay, let's think through that one. Think of some performance measures we can measure on that. I mean, we are the state with the most number of veterans, and you can only go so far with unpaid media. So I think this might be an opportunity to start looking at that.
Yeah,
we may get it, we may not, but at least let's ask.
Thank you, Chairwoman. And I just want to add to that on the media itself with outreach to news stations. That part, the $25.6 million, I mean, that's invaluable. I think that does better than any of the others. But with a combination of the social and the billboards, that's when it's really sort of powerful.
I mean, why wouldn't there be a commercial on during the Texas A&M game? I mean, seriously. So I'm just saying there's opportunities.
Yeah.
Along that line of thought, because and you triggered this. It's your fault for this question, because there's a picture in there, a program that I absolutely love that the Texas Parks and Wildlife does, which is our September ruck marches. How much coordination do we do with other agencies, specifically in the advertising world? Because I know the governor has an advertising budget.
Specifically in the area of advertising?
Well, I may not be using the term right, be it advertising, be it outreach, as they're promoting that September program. So with Texas Parks and Wildlife. And I realize it's an open-ended question, but what are we looking at that way with Texas economic development, quite frankly?
Yes.
Because one of the things I'd love to see is us steal more veterans from other states. I don't care about other states. I care about Texas.
We do. Well, we love it too. Everybody should move here. I did. I think you already sort of touched upon the answer, Commissioner. We do try to share and reshare cross-market. So if other agencies are and expose ourselves to their audiences, and we do partner. I mean, just on the outside of the social media and the earned media, we are partnering on all of these events. But even there's so many components involved for every one of these pieces of outreach. So even on an event where we partner with Veteran Land Board for career fairs or expos, we do cross-promote, we do advertise, and we can do a paid component on that. So if we had wanted to get attendance up in a certain area, geo-targeted, we can do that too. We could always do a lot more, of course. You know, we're doing great, but we could always do more, Commissioner. So, but yes, we are collaborating and talking back and forth, but we could do more.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, Commissioner Bremer.
Excellent presentation, by the way, and I like how you thanked your team. Very powerful. Question for you: are we billing the Veterans Land Board for that really successful post?
The answer would be no.
All right, just asking.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was excellent, by the way.
Thank you. And next up would be our executive director report. Tom?
Thank you, Chairwoman, Commissioners, everyone in attendance. I wanted to add a couple things here. Margaret has done a fantastic job. Her and her predecessor, Angela, who both previously came from the Texas Workforce Commission Communications Department. Margaret used to be the director there. So the experience that she brings is phenomenal. There's another document in your shared SharePoint for your own review, commissioners, and it is actually the communications plan. It's a very detailed plan. You can look at all the activities, all the goals that are planned by Margaret and her team, and she juggles a lot of balls. In order to do that, you have to have a great team, that has a high, intellect level in order to do that. And I really appreciate it. But you can see how complicated it is. So that's why I defer to Margaret, and all the departments do as well. And I ask all of us to do the same thing, is that it's Margaret puts the plan together. So if there's any activities that you're aware of that, you think that we should be involved in, we send it to Margaret, because Margaret has a coordinated plan. And then she also has this, a lot of activities out there in how we advertise and gets it all to us. And so we're part of the plan. And so she's the lead. We have a fantastic relationship with the Veteran Land Board. Tony Dale, the executive secretary. I always say they're our sister agency. We do these benefit fairs around the state. I think we're doing them quarterly. We might increase that in the future once we can, get the coordination and planning down. But that's a physical benefit fairs we do around the state, which a lot of veterans go to those too. So veterans want to, they want services virtually, but there's also the batch that wants to be seen face to face. And so we're trying to spread that around as well. And we also share that call center also with the Veteran Land Board. So, there's a lot of cross activity we do, especially with them. We have a lot of cross activity with the Workforce Commission and the Health and Human Services Commission as well. And then there's the General's Department. And so we branch out. We have a Texas Coordinated Council for Veteran Services, which I chair. It's in the listed. It's in the code, government code. 20 state agencies. We meet quarterly. James and Brad coordinate it, and then we do a report. We'll do it this fall, 1 October, to the governor, lieutenant governor, and the legislature, which will have recommendations to improve services for veterans. But there's a collaboration there with 20 state agencies. And then, of course, we also work with the counties. And we do that through our grant programs and our claims programs and our healthcare programs, as well as our mental health with the local mental health authorities. And our Texas Veteran Treatment Court. So we are connected at all levels, and it's just in enhancing that. And to do that, we have to use every department, and we use our marketing and our outreach especially. So great job in that coordination. It takes a lot of effort. Coming up, so this is the February meeting. We have the May meeting coming up, which again, the advisory committee, the Fund for Veteran Assistance Advisory Committee, that's still called the Fund for Veteran Assistance Program. They're going to meet sometime between this meeting and that meeting. They will do a funding recommendation to the commissioners, which will meet in May. And then we'll do that award, which will start in the September timeframe. We will get instructions from the LBB this pretty soon, in the next month or two, on the strategic plan, on operating budget, performance measures, strategic plan. That'll come out in the next few months, and then that'll be presented to the commissioners probably in May. Then right after that, this is the biennial budget cycle, is the legislative appropriation request. That's going to come out by the LBB, and then again, we put that together, and that'll be presented to the commissioners in August. As well as the RFA for the new grant cycle for the Fund for Veteran Assistance, which is going to be 2028, which will be 2-year grant. So just giving heads up what's coming down the line. So appreciate everybody's efforts, doing a great job, and thank you, commissioners, for your collaboration and leadership.
Thank you, Tom.
I have a
Next,
question.
oh, we have one question.
I have a question. On the, everyone is anticipating the new commissioners that are coming in. Have you heard anything about the new commissioners replacement?
So I'm in
those that are
coordination.
outgoing?
I'm in coordination with the governor's appointment office. We've already reported it to them that we have 3 commissioners who are leaving shortly, and so they are in the works for giving me replacements in way the state government code is written, and that the appointees will remain in office until they are replaced. So even though the terms for Commissioner Hernandez and Commissioner Dale were up in December, we appreciate you continuing on, in your roles until they send a replacement. They may send a replacement before May, but they may not. And then I would appreciate you all participating in the May meeting. And the same with Commissioner Barber. Commissioner Barber is proudly representing Texas at the Small Business Administration, running all veteran business operations across the entire country. And so he's in that role. And so I think that at some point, we're going to do the same thing. So we'll get a replacement for Commissioner Barber as well. But when I find out, then I will inform you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to the next agenda item, which is agenda item 6A. It's action regarding the 2025 Excellence in Media Awards. And I'll ask Jim Halbrook, our Public Affairs Officer, to give this presentation.
Thank you, Chairwoman Kerner. Commissioners, Executive Director Palladino, good morning. For the record, I am Jim Halbrook, the Public Affairs Officer of the Texas Veterans Commission. Today, we present our Excellence in Media Award recommendations. These awards are a team effort from the call for nominations, collecting the entries, scoring them, as well as producing, presenting, and distributing the awards. The awards recognize exemplary research, coverage, and production by news media of stories bringing attention to veteran topics and issues that impact their lives. This year, a total of 22 stories were nominated by media around Texas. The stories were broadcast between January the 1st and December 31st, 2025. Nominations were received in the categories of TV news, print, radio, and photojournalism. In your commission folders, you'll find the recommendations for the award winners and the links to their stories. And if you would like, I can provide you a brief description of each recommendation. Okay. In the TV news category, we recommend as winner Battle for Care by Brian News of CBS News Texas in Fort Worth. This story presented the critical support provided to thousands of Texas veterans by the VA's home health care program and the impact resulting from cuts to that program. The story brought to light that spending on the program in Texas dropped by nearly $125 million in a year, that being the result in a change of how the VA evaluates and approves care hours. This care provides assistance with daily tasks such as hygiene, nutrition, mobility, and more. It helps veterans stay in their homes. The story included veterans and their families affected by the cuts and gave voice to those impacted. In the print category, we recommend as winner Ellis County Veteran Treatment Court celebrates first graduate by Chris Rourke of the Waxahachie Daily Light. This story does a great job presenting what a veteran treatment court is and how it helps justice-involved veterans return to their communities. It shows struggles that veterans may face with mental health and substance abuse. It also showed how local leaders were willing to work with the veterans to improve their lives. The story just provides an excellent information on how the court works, its processes, and the benefits for veterans. And the story also included TVC support for that court with grants. In the radio category, we recommend as winner, after 27 years of abuse and bureaucracy, Navy vet finally gets an honorable discharge from Co-op Austin's Boots on the Air program with Michael A. Brown. This story is one of a young recruit who experienced military sexual trauma, which in turn led to behavior contributing to her dishonorable discharge. It tells how years later she turned to Texas Legal Services Center, which assisted her with getting her discharge upgraded to honorable. The broadcast included the veteran telling the story of her abuse, her behavior, and the consequences. It also included her attorney and her in the story together talking about the process of getting her discharge upgraded, the relief, and the benefits that it brought. In the photo category, we recommend as winners Legion Riders by Raul Garcia of the Mercedes Enterprise. The Legion Riders of the American Legion and Mercedes travel across Texas promoting veteran fundraisers and raising awareness of benefits. The image captured the camaraderie that binds them. In addition to the winners, there were 3 other nominations that we felt should be recognized as runners-up. These are also in your commission folders, and if you would like, I can give you a brief description of each of those. Our TV runner-up, Fort Hood Allegations by Ariana Lipkin of Spectrum News 1 Texas in Austin. This presented the allegations against a now suspended Army physician last stationed at Fort Hood. One of his alleged victims speaks out about how she'd been affected by the violations of her privacy and how that eroded her trust in the military. The story brought to public attention the actions of this physician who is now suspended. Our print runner-up is Montgomery Vietnam-era veteran Larry Bates threatened with eviction by Reuben Boris of the Montgomery County News. The story on veteran Larry Bates brought to public attention eviction threats, which left unchecked could have resulted in him being homeless. Bates connected with the resources to fight and prove his case. The story presents those resources, those being Veterans and Patriots United, along with a VFW, and how to contact them. And our photo runner-up is Thank You for Your Service. Rusk County 4-H presents Quilts of Valor to 4 Deserving Veterans by Amber Lawler of the Henderson News. This photo series shows veterans being honored and presented with Quilts of Valor. One of those veterans was their local VCSO, Leo Gonzalez. The photos stirred emotion, and they're a high quality. They show a community which is proud of and cares for its veterans. That concludes all our Media Award winner and runner-up recommendations. Upon approval, we will coordinate with the winners and runners-up for the presentation of the awards. Pending any questions, that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Jim. Commissioners, do we have any questions? Do I hear a motion to approve the 2025 Excellence in the Media Awards?
So moved.
Okay, I heard a motion by Commissioner Dale and a second by Commissioner Hernandez. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 And those opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Next is agenda item 6B, which is discussion and action regarding the recommendation for Fund for Veteran Assistance Advisory Committee members. And I'll ask Chip Osborne, our Veteran Services Division Director, to give this presentation.
Good morning again, Chair Kerner, Commissioners, and Mr. Palladino. And yes, for the record, my name is Chip Osborne, Division Director for Veteran Services. A little background on this, just to let you know, in the folder, you have my summary. Also, I provided you a copy, current copy of the advisory members. I did highlight one name. That is Jeff Mincy. He is the one that actually submitted his resignation on January 27th of 2026. And then also a copy of the potential candidate that we're recommending, James Murphy, his application. So in a nutshell, in the background, that's what happened. Jeff actually submitted his resignation, and we wish him all the best on his next endeavor. That leaves that one vacancy. So what we did is we reached out of the rest of our applicants we had, and actually James Murphy at one time actually worked for our agency in our grants compliance department. So he's well versed in the process. In addition, James has been, he left us to go into the ministry. So he actually is a minister of a small church there in Hyco, Texas, in that community. So it'd be very beneficial for us to continue to have 9 members on the panel instead of an even number of 8. So my recommendation is that we have the commissioners to appoint James Murphy as a member of our advisory committee, subject to your questions.
Thank you, Chip. Are there any questions? We have one question. Commissioner Wright.
And I'm going to go a little bit off on a tangent, but you just very correctly said we need an odd number to have a vote. In the event we only have 8 people at a meeting, how do we break a tie? Do we have a rule in place for that? I'm just curious.
There's no breaking of a tie if they don't have another member.
No, if you've only got 8, but if you've only got 8 there, you have the potential for a tie. How do we break that tie?
It's not broken. It is voted as a tie. The motion does not pass.
Oh, gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay. Answer my question. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Alrighty. Do I hear a motion to appoint James Murphy as a member of the Fund for Veteran Assistance Advisory Committee?
So moved.
I have one motion from Commissioner Wright. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Dale. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Next agenda item is agenda item 6C, action regarding Fund for Veteran Assistance Advisory Committee Chair selection. And I'll ask Irv Leos, our Director of Grants for Veteran Services, brand new department name, to give the report.
Thank you and good morning, Chairwoman Kerner, Commissioners, Mr. Palladino, and guests. For the record, my name is Irv Leos Jr., Grants for Veteran Services Director. The item I will be presenting is for the Fund for Veterans Assistance Advisory Committee Chair selection. The information provided for your review is in SharePoint folder labeled C, Fund for Veterans Advisory Committee Chair selection. This folder contains 4 documents: the summary that I will use for this agenda item, the committee members' request to become chair, and 2 other documents containing nominations for the chair. The previous advisory committee chair, Pete Rispoli, resigned on November 11th, 2025, due to work commitments moving him and his family to Miami, Florida. On January 6th and 7th, 2026, during the FVA Advisory Committee training meeting, Vice Chair Richard Delgado Jr. led the meeting. During the training meeting, all committee members were informed of the process of selecting both chair and vice chair. Mr. Richard Delgado submitted his request to become chair, and 2 other members also submitted their nominations for Mr. Delgado to become chair. Additionally, during the meeting, several members recommended Mr. Delgado to become chair. Mr. Delgado has been a committee member for just over 2 years and was selected as the vice chair in February of last year. Grants for Veteran Services recommends that the commission make a motion to appoint Mr. Richard Delgado Jr. as the Fund for Veterans Assistance Advisory Committee Chair. Pending any question, that concludes my presentation for the Fund for Veterans Assistance Advisory Committee Chair selection.
Thank you, Irv. Any questions? Do I hear a motion to appoint Richard Delgado as the chair of the Fund for Veteran Assistance Advisory Committee?
So moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Hernandez. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. 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 And those opposed? Motion passes. Please pass on my congratulations to Richard.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next agenda item is agenda item 6D, which is the TVC Commissioner Conflict of Interest Policy. Without objection, I'm going to be moving this agenda item to after agenda item H so that we can get through all the grant amendment requests first. Okay. So moving on to agenda item 6E. Will be action regarding the USA Cares Grant Year 2025-2026 grant amendment request to increase the grant amount by an additional $250,000. And Irv, you'll be presenting this to us.
Yes, ma'am. Commissioners, the upcoming 4 agenda items for consideration are amendments requesting additional funding totaling $570,000. These amendments are before the commission because they involve an increase to the grant award, which requires commission approval. These 4 grantees have been reviewed by compliance in the last 2 weeks and no findings were discovered at any of the organizations. The first agenda item I will be presenting is USA Cares grant amendment requesting an additional $250,000 for the 25-26 grant year. This information is provided for your review in SharePoint folder labeled E, USA Cares GY 25-26 Amendment. This folder contains two documents, the amendment request from USA Cares and the summary that I will be using for this presentation. Looking back at the 24-25 grant year, USA Cares was awarded $500,000 for a General Assistance Financial Assistance Grant. They also requested additional funds and were awarded an additional $250,000 for the same grant year. USA Care finished the grant year for 24-25 at 80% expenditures and 104% performance. For the 25-26 grant year, USA Cares was renewed for $350,000 to serve 159 clients, and as of December 31st, 2025, has expended 92% of their funding, and their performance was 135%. The additional funding would allow them to serve another 200 clients. The current FY27 grant year projected available funding is $42.33 million. The funds for Veterans Assistance budget can accommodate the requested $250,000. However, approving the additional funding could reduce the available funding for future applicants. Grants for Veteran Services recommends that the Commission make a motion to approve the USA Cares amendment requesting for an additional $250,000 in grant funding for the 25-26 grant period. Pending any questions, that concludes my presentation for USA Cares grant amendment request.
Commissioners, are there any questions? Commissioner Wright.
Mr. I wanted to ask, and we're doing these line by line, but I'm going to make the assumption that all of your recommendations take into account all of these. And then my question is, where would that leave us at the next meeting to recommend more grants?
I think I can answer that one. Commissioner Wright, in the presentation that Michelle Null gave, she actually assumed that these would all be approved and gave us the number in that. So,
thank you so much.
Okay, it'll be about 41 point something.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to ask what grant category is USA in?
Yes, Commissioner. USA Cares is a general assistance grant category.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. What is the maximum grant amount for this category? Is it 600?
Currently, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this will be bringing them to the max that they could receive in a grant.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. And just one more question. What services under the general assistance did they provide? So they provided mortgage, rent, utility, and transportation?
Stand by, ma'am.
You asked all my questions. Sorry.
Yes, ma'am. They do provide financial assistance, mortgage, rent, utilities, and transportation.
Okay. Thank you very much. Commissioner Dale, any additional questions?
No, you asked all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
One more, ma'am.
Okay, Commissioner Barber.
But where are they located?
Stand by, Commissioner. Let me confer to my staff. Commissioner Barber, yes, they serve the statewide, but they are located here in Austin.
Okay, fair enough. Thanks.
We have nobody here to speak on this amendment. Do I hear a motion to approve the USA Cares grant year 2025-2026 amendment request for the additional $250,000 in grant funding?
So moved.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Wright. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Dale. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed?
Aye.
Was it aye?
No, yes, I meant to say aye before you said all opposed. Sorry.
Okay, so With that, motion passes. Next agenda item is agenda item 6F, which is action regarding the Webb County Veteran County Service Officer grant amendment request to increase their grant year amount by additional $70,000. And again, Irv, you'll be presenting this.
Yes, ma'am. This item I'll be presenting is the Webb County Veterans County Service Officer grant amendment request and additional $70,000 for the 25-26 grant year. Again, the information provided is in SharePoint folder labeled F, Webb County Veterans County Service Office GY 25-26 Amendment. This folder contains two documents, the amendment request from Webb County and the summary that I will use for this presentation. In 24-25 grant year, Webb County Veterans County Service Office was awarded a $160,000 General Assistance Organizational Fleet Grant to serve 225 clients. Webb County VCSO finished the 24-25 grant year at 85% expenditures and 108 performance. For the 25-26 grant year, Webb County VCSO was renewed for $100,000 to serve 141 clients, and as of December 31st, 2025, has expended 77% of their funding, and their performance was just over 115%. The additional funding would allow them to serve another 134 clients. The current Fund for Veterans Assistance budget may accommodate the request for $70,000 increase. However, again, approving the additional funding could reduce the available funding for future applicants. Grants for Veteran Services recommends that the Commission make a motion to approve the Webb County VCSO amendment, requesting an additional $70,000 in grant funding for the 2025-2026 grant period. Pending any question, that concludes my presentation for the Webb County VCSO grant amendment request.
Thank you, Irv. Any questions? We do have one one public comment that asked to speak on this agenda item. That's David Garza. You can please come up. And I asked to remember you have 5 minutes.
Good morning, Commissioners. David Garza, Veteran Service Officer for Webb County. This is Victor Sanchez, my Director of Transportation. Veterans Transportation. We're just here to ask to humbly, sorry, a little bit nervous. We're here humbly to request that you all please grant this amendment of $70,000. It does go to help 100% of the veterans. We have a dedicated line and employees, veteran employees that help us with this. Among the other things we do in the office, this is a grant that first applied back in 2013, and we've had it ever since. As a matter of fact, the first time I ever had a compliance visit was no other than Mr. Erb. I don't know if he remembers me, but so we've been doing this a long time, and we really do take care of the money that Texas Veterans Commission sends our way. And it's a great collaboration between Webb County and Texas Veterans Commission. Just want to say thank you.
Thank you, David. And I do have one question for you. Do you mind sharing with us what you do with the grant money? And I think you give transportation. Any additional insight would be great.
Yes. So we provide transportation to veterans, their dependents, and their surviving spouses to within any medical appointments within a 200-mile radius of Laredo, Texas, which is Webb County. So that means they go to the San Antonio, McAllen, Harlingen, and Corpus Christi are the bigger VA hospitals that our veterans go to locally, and any medical appointments locally, even the community. We have a small VA clinic in Laredo, Texas, and we transport our veterans to the clinic, and any private medical appointment they may have to include pharmacy, specialty clinics. Every about twice a month, we also there's some families, some veterans that and their dependents that are have a very difficult low income to go to the grocery or get food from the food pantry. So we do that twice a month. And there's a rotating list, and we just kind of pick between 5 and 10 families that are veterans, and we go ahead and take the food to them. That way they don't have to worry about coming all the way across town to the food pantry, waiting in line. We start setting up the day before on Friday, and on Saturday morning, my driver goes, we pick up the stuff, put it in the van, and we take it to the families. And that makes, when we started doing that about 3 years ago, I'm getting goosebumps. That makes a big difference.
Thank you. Thank you so much for highlighting the services you provide to our veterans, and I appreciate your service.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I do have one, and it's a little bit related to your question. I've heard from a few different VCSO offices, and even my own, where there's been, I guess they've seen an increase in people for direct needs. They've reached out to American Legions, other places to try to get funds, particularly in transportation and direct rent, and so I mean, and you may not know the answer, but I'm just curious, since you're here, do you know what's contributing to this increase?
Inflation, I would say, but I do see that I've had a higher number of people not just asking for veterans and asking for transportation, but asking for assistance.
Yeah.
Our grant only allows us for transportation, but we do refer out. So the Texas Veterans Commission FVA fund does have an assistance in the county right next to us that is regional, and that would be Zapata County. And we've been referring a lot to that county veteran service officer, more than we normally do a year. And in a nutshell, again, to answer your question, I would have to guess inflation, but there's been a high increase in the last at least 2 years that I've noticed.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I just out of curiosity, I've heard from other counties as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank
David.
you.
Yes, ma'am.
One question, ma'am.
Oh, another question.
I think it's an aging veteran population as well that you guys are seeing down there. But here's a question. Is this enough to get you guys where you need to be and complete your mission?
Yes, for this year, yes, because we collaborate. The county does put in some money too. There is in the plans, but obviously, it's going to take to get a second transportation van, because it is beginning to get needed. I mean, sometimes we don't see the driver, but in the morning and at the end of the day. So, but that I have to first get the vehicle approved by my county commission, by the commissioner's court. If they say, okay, that they'll purchase another one, I would love to ask for additional fundings and continue this collaboration we've had for 12 years now with the Texas Veterans Commission and Webb County's Veteran Service Office, because we would need it. This will get us through the year. Yes, sir. I wouldn't want to waste any money.
No worries. I mean, you guys are great stewards. There's absolutely nothing humbling about this. It's honorable. So thank you very much for sharing that.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Commissioners, do I hear a motion to approve the Webb County Veteran County Service Officer Grant Year 25-26 amendment request for an additional $70,000 in grant funding?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Dale. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Next agenda item is 6G, which is action regarding the Alamo Area Council of Governments grant amendment request to increase their grant year 25-26 amount by an additional $150,000. And Irv, you'll be presenting this again?
Yes, ma'am. The This item will be presented is the Alamo Area Council of Governments, or ACOG, grant amendment requesting that additional $150,000 for the 25-26 grant year. Again, this information is in SharePoint folder labeled G, Alamo Area Council of Governments, GY 25-26 Amendment. This folder also contains two documents, the amendment request from ACOG and the summary I'll be using for this presentation. ACOG was initially awarded $350,000 for a Housing for Texas Heroes grant to serve 10 clients for the 25-26 grant year. As of December 31st, 2025, Grants for Veteran Services has approved the submitted monthly reports, and ACOG has utilized 39% of their budget and served 4 clients, or 40% performance. In communications with ACOG, they have stated they have completed 2 projects but are waiting for financial documents from the vendor in order to report and claim them, and also have 3 projects awaiting on vendors to start. Taking these 5 projects into consideration, ACOG has utilized 97% of their funding, leaving them with $4,525 to complete another home project. The additional funding would allow them to serve another 7 clients. The Funds for Veteran Assistance budget may accommodate the requested $150,000 increase. However, approving the additional funding could reduce the available funding for future applicants. Grants for Veteran Services recommends that the Commission make a motion to approve the Alamo Area Council of Governments amendment request for an additional $150,000 in grant funding for the 25-26 grant year period. Pending your questions, that concludes my presentation for ACOG grant amendment request.
Thank you, Irv. Any questions, commissioners? Okay, we do not have anyone speaking on this item. Do I hear a motion to approve the Alamo Area Council of Governments grant year 25-26 amendment request for an additional $150,000 in grant funding?
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Hernandez and a second from Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. And those opposed? Motion passes. Next agenda item is 6H, which is action regarding the Castle Cares grant amendment request to increase our grant year 25-26 grant amount by an additional $100,000. And I'll ask Irv to present this as well.
Yes, ma'am. Again, presenting this item is for Castle Cares grant amendment request for an additional $100,000 for the 25-26 grant year. The information provided for you is also in SharePoint folder labeled H, Castle Cares GY 25-26 Amendment. This folder contains 2 documents, the amendment request from Castle Cares and the summary I will use for this presentation. In the 24-25 grant year, Castle Cares was awarded $150,000 for a Veterans Mental Health Clinical Counseling Grant to serve 200 clients. Castle Cares finished the 24-25 grant year at 91% expenditures and 89% performance. For the 25-26 grant year, Castle Cares was renewed for $100,000 to serve 133 clients, and as of December 31st, 2025, they have expended 88% of their funding, and their performance was just over 71%. The additional funding would allow them to serve another 67 clients. The Funds for Veteran Assistance budget may accommodate the requested $100,000 increase. Again, however, approving the additional funding could reduce the available funding for future applicants. Grants for Veteran Service recommends that the Commission make a motion to approve Castle Cares amendment request for an additional $100,000 in grant funding for the 25-26 grant period. Pending any question, that concludes my presentation for Castle Cares grant amendment request.
Thank you, Irv. Any questions of Irv? Yes. Commissioner Wright.
What is their service area?
Stand by, Commissioner. Let me confer with the staff. Commissioner Wright, they serve 5 counties in the Gulf Coast and 1 in East Texas.
We do have one person from Castle Cares that's here to present during public comment. That's Robert Heckler. If you could please come up. And as a reminder, you have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for your time today and for the work that you do on behalf of veterans across Texas. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you this morning. My name is Robert Heckler. I'm the Executive Director of the Warriors Refuge, and I'm here today to ask for consideration of the $100,000 request for additional funding that directly supports our current grant for veterans' mental health. Simply put, this request isn't about changing what we're doing. It's about keeping up with the reality of the veterans that we're currently serving. This program is active, it's working, and the need has been heavier than we originally projected at the beginning of the grant year. The veterans coming into this program are dealing with real layered challenges, trauma and stress injuries, anxiety, depression, substance abuse, suicidal thoughts, family strain. Most aren't walking in with just one issue. They're carrying several at once, and that means they need consistent, appropriate care, not just quick fixes. The additional funding would allow us to continue to provide uninterrupted mental health and peer support services through the rest of the grant year. That includes individual counseling with licensed clinicians, group therapy, and peer support services that help veterans stay engaged, stabilize, and actually make progress instead of bouncing in and out of crisis. With this request, we would be able to serve an additional 67 veterans, bringing the total served under the grant to 200 veterans for the year. Just as importantly, it helps ensure that veterans who are already in care can finish what they started without disruption. All of our counseling services are evidence-based and trauma-informed. We're using approaches that are proven to work with veterans, things like cognitive and behavioral therapies, trauma-focused treatment, crisis intervention, and safety planning. Peer support runs alongside that clinical work, helping veterans stay connected and grounded between sessions. I do want to be clear about one thing. We are not going to turn away veterans if this request is not approved. Our commitment to serving them doesn't change. That said, continuing at this level without additional funding means leaning harder and harder on unrestricted funds and internal resources, and that is not something that we can sustain even in the short term, without creating real strain on the organization and on other veteran services we provide. This request allows us to do this the right way, responsibly, transparently, and in line with the original intent of the grant, without compromising our long-term stability. Commissioners, this is a program that is doing what it is designed to do, and this request simply helps keep its pace with the veterans who are showing up and asking for help. So on behalf of those veterans, I respectfully ask for your approval of this $100,000 additional funding request, allowing us to serve 200 veterans during the current grant year. Thank you for your time, your oversight, and your continued commitment to Texas veterans.
Thank you, Robert. Any questions? We have a question from Commissioner Barber.
Sir, can you tell me what the counseling sessions are for concerns related to identity? You've listed that you have counseling sessions for concerns related to identity.
As far as when we talk about, like, we could talk about gender identity and a variety of those different identities, those are covered in our counseling sessions as well.
Yeah, no, I'm asking specifically about is that what you're explaining? Your concerns related to identity?
I don't remember seeing that.
On your additional funding distribution, list of budget categories or line items where the additional funds will be distributed along with the amounts, and you have concerns related to identity.
On the form?
In the amendment request.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm sorry. Let me find it. Bear with me, please.
Yeah.
Okay, adjustment disorders, identity-related concerns. That's most likely going to be gender identity and anything in that category. We serve multiple veterans in that category currently.
Is that the same for adjustment disorders?
I do not know the answer to that, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Do I hear a motion to approve the Castle Cares Grant Year 25-26 amendment request for an additional $100,000 in grant funding?
So moved.
Okay, motion from Commissioner Wright. Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, second from Commissioner Dale. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, I wanted to move agenda item D down till after H. So here we are. And this is the agenda item regarding the TVC Commissioner Conflict of Interest Policy, and Chip Osborne is going to be presenting this. And you should have some paperwork in front of you, Commissioner, so this is related.
Yeah. Thank you again, Commissioner Kerner, Commissioners, Ms. Palladino, and guests. For the record, again, my name is Chip Osborne, Division Director for Veteran Services Division. In your folder, you have the summary about the conflict of interest policy, as well as you have one appendix, which is the signature page, and then the second appendix lists all 309 grant applicants that actually met the timeline in our portal. So I'm excited to actually bring this before the commission. The genesis for doing this relates right back to our FEA Advisory Committee, and this is how it started. Irv and I and Joanna, as well as the two prior general counsels, sat down and we noticed that with the FEA Advisory Committee, the last time that policy was even looked at was back in 2014. So we knew it was overdue for a revision. So once we got that completed, we came and started looking at our commissioner's policy. So as you're aware, in 434 in our statute, 0.004, it only lists a few things. It's not really broad. So when we looked at the scope of how our grant program has really evolved and grown, we knew that, hey, in full transparency with other state agencies, with the public's trust is very important. We sat down and we developed a new policy. And in that policy, I think is very thorough. To me, it's very explanatory. It means a whole great lot, especially when you look at on page 1, the grant cycle definition. We've already included the other grant program, which is the TVFA grant specifically. So we have our two major grant programs that are listed in here with our life cycle. In addition to that, you'll notice various citations that we have from the law, basically from 572.001, and then it also goes into 005, because again, this is putting more meat on the skeleton. We just did not have that. I really like it, and if by chance one of the commissioners believes that they have a conflict, it needs to be vetted really with our executive director, the executive director, as well as the GC will make the final determination. And let's just say you did have a conflict. Well, it's not that you totally get out of the grant program. No, you just recuse yourself from that one particular grant category and continue to drive on with the other categories. So, commissioners, that's kind of it in a nutshell. I just really like it and would recommend that the commission adopt this revised conflict of interest policy.
Thank you, Chip. I think it is important we go through it.
Okay.
So commissioners, this will be a policy that we apply to ourselves. We would be doing a certified signature on saying that we certify we understand what a conflict of interest is, and then also the sheets of paper attached are the list of every grantee, and then certifying for this grant cycle whether or not you believe you may have a conflict, and then stating that whether you think you potentially have one, and then it could be vetted by the executive director and the general counsel. So also in here, give some guidelines of behavior that's expected or not expected during the grant cycle. And I think that's kind of key to make sure that we understand what we are signing up for. So did we want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, I can do it if you want.
Okay.
Good.
So, if you look through it, it's just as the chairwoman said, and as Chip Osborne both said, it references the government code and our own code 434, which is what we've always had in there, and then of course it references the ethics code 572, which again we had it in more general terms prior, but we expand upon that, and it goes into kind of explaining what a conflict of interest is, or a personal interest, right? So it goes into there, and it's whether you have a personal private interest, in this organization. So we're kind of identifying if there's a potential conflict of interest. So there's some subject matter there. Then it gets into the process for FEA grants. And so the process is what's new. And this is what we've also had the advisory committee adhere to. Yes. So we thought that it would be valid for both the recommending entity and the approving entity. So when the grantees apply, they have a list. We vet the list to make sure they're all valid applications. Then we send it to the commissioners, which we did today. In the future, it'll get a little earlier. So the commissioners in the advisory committee also will see the list and disclose if any's conflict of interest on the list, and also pledge not to talk to these grantee organizations during the grant cycle, especially about their grant application, right? So we want to not have any potential conflict of interest there. And then return that and sign it. And then if there is a potential conflict, then you need to discuss that with myself, general counsel, would identify if there really is. And then there's a discussion item here, like, what if you go to an event and this grant organization is there, or, you invite, because these organizations provide services to veterans, and we participate sometimes, and we get the word out about that. So it's not saying you can't go to one of their events and, or speak or see them give services. It's just that we cannot engage with them about their grant application. That is something that would be strongly would give a potential conflict of interest. So we're asking commissioners and advisory committee members, do not speak to grantee organizations about the grant application, even though you might be at an event where they're at, that would be all right. Further, and then we talked about that. Then we would not talk to the the FEA advisory committee members about the grant applications either, because we wanted a clean process. So the FEA advisory committee members recommend their applicants as a body. We're not in conjunction with talking to anyone on the commissioner's body, which is the approving authority. And then that's number 3 under 3.3, and then in the 3.4 is with the staff. So I'm sorry. That's fine. I'm sorry. 4 was advisory committee. 5 is the staff. So then again, the staff IRV staff puts together all the they put together the package for the advisory committee. They were working very closely with the advisory committee. So we don't want the commissioners then discussing the grant applications with the staff either. We want to keep it a clean process. If you have any questions about any of the applicants, once you get all the information, come to me, and then I can get Chip and IRV, and we can answer questions, which we've always done that. Once the advisory committee does the recommendation, they're done, goes to the commissioners. That's the time when you get all the applications. We provide it to you, and then we contact you individually, not collectively, so we don't violate the Open Meetings Act. And then you have any questions about any of the grant applications, and we answer all those questions. So it's a clean process, and there's no perception of any type of conflicts. And I think that summarizes the procedure.
Yeah, because this new conflict of interest policy basically is going to really demonstrate full transparency and accountability, and especially have the public's trust of how we do the grant awards process.
Yeah.
And I have one other thing, that it is also modeled on some other state agencies. So one of them is the Cancer Research Institute of Texas, which instituted a big change about 10 years ago in their program, grant program, to keep it a clean process. And so we collaborated with them on getting some of these procedures.
I was going to say that, so thank you for saying that. So, Commissioner Hernandez, yes.
Yes. Whenever you're appointed, for instance, commissioners at TVC, there's a requirement to go through the ethics training.
Yes.
And requires a signature.
Yes, sir.
Is it a separate ethics?
You'll still be required to do that training.
TVC?
It's annual. Like we go through a training every year as the staff, with certain training requirements as well. So this is an add-on.
So, Commissioner Hernandez, to answer your question, you still be doing that one, but this particular policy will be part of your annual commissioner training that we provide anyways. So, obviously, we're learning about it now, so that'll cover it for this year. But it will also be in the policies that we provide for annual training. Alrighty.
Comment or do I have to wait?
Thank you.
We can make a comment during the motion. And I do also want to point out, I did ask one question and it was added in here. Under the conflicts of interest, under number 3, I did ask that we address specifically if a commissioner makes a charitable donation to the organization, that doesn't automatically constitute a conflict. Because obviously a lot of us are engaged with veterans organizations. So absolutely. I would have you read that over as well, because that was my number one question was if we donate to an organization, is that a conflict? And it is not. Okay. With that, do I hear a motion to, hold on, let me make sure I get this right. Do I hear a motion to approve the TVC Commissioner's Conflict of Interest Policy?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Wright. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Dale. Heard you first. And then any discussion? I believe Commissioner Dale has a comment.
I just wanted to make a comment on the conflict of interest policy. While I know we have other training that we go through, I think it says a lot about an agency when they're willing to govern themselves and to hold our commissioners to a standard of professionalism, to ethics, and to conduct, to ensure that we are good stewards of the state, the people, and those who've appointed us, as well as to the legislature who's entrusted us to take care of their money. So I really do like this policy.
Awesome.
Well said.
Yeah. I do appreciate that we're being proactive in this and not waiting for an issue.
Absolutely.
Okay. With that, I'll take a motion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Next agenda item is 6I, which fell out of my packet. Hold on. Here it is. It's action regarding the separation of policymaking and management responsibilities. And I'll ask Sean DeBay, our Deputy Executive Director, to give this presentation.
Good morning, Chairwoman, Commissioners, Mr. Palladino, and guests. For the record, my name is Sean DeBay, the Deputy Executive Director for the Texas Veterans Commission. In your folder, you should have 2 things. You should have the consideration summary, which I'll be spending most of my time on, and then the policy on separation of policymaking and management responsibilities. So in the consideration summary, the introduction, this is the Texas Government Code 434-0091. It states the commission shall develop and implement policies that clearly separate the policymaking responsibilities of the commission and the management responsibilities of the executive director and staff of the commission. The benefit, separating policymaking from administrative, preserves the commission's statutory authority while allowing the executive director to focus on implementation and operation. This structure reduces legal risk, prevents unauthorized policy decisions, and promotes clear accountability. There is no long-term financial impact for this. There's a legal analysis that I'll summarize that statute assigns policymaking and rulemaking authority directly to the commission, not staff. And in practice, other state offices recognize this authority by requiring commissioner-level approval of all key agency submissions. So the recommendation, we recommend adoption of the Veterans Commission policy and separation between the policy-making responsibilities of the TVC commissioners and the management responsibilities of the executive director and agency staff. Subject to your question.
Thank you. And I also, as the other one, let's step through it, please. It's not very long. It is in the folder as well. Okay, Sean, if you want to step us through.
Okay. So the commissioners acting collectively as a body are responsible for exercising all discretionary authority granted to them under Government Code 434. What does this mean? This is policymaking includes rulemaking, establishment of program priorities, creation of advisory committees, and other actions that impose legal obligations, requirements, or standards on individuals or entities outside the agency, including but not limited to veterans, grantees, vendors, and other stakeholders. The commissioners also shall adopt rules only when expressly required by statute or when necessary for implement statutory duties or programs. Moving to the executive director and TVC staff, they're solely responsible for implementing those policies adopted by the commissioners, administering the programs, managing personnel, establishing internal procedures, and conducting the day-to-day operations of the agency. This means internal administrative or operational documents regardless of whether they're called policies or if they're called procedures, do not impose obligations on external parties and fall within the authority of the executive director. Also, commissioners shall not direct staff or engage in administrative or operational matters except expressly authorized by law or commission policy. And by this, the commissioners acknowledge that this distinction between policymaking and administration may not always be clear. So when questions arise regarding the scope of authority and under Government Code 434, the commissioners shall seek guidance from the executive director and general counsel prior to taking action. Maintaining this separation is essential for the integrity, efficiency, and legal compliance of the Texas Veterans Commission.
Alrighty, and from what I understand, we're just documenting what we do already, just in a nice, clear, concise policy. Commissioners, any questions of Sean? Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve the separation of policymaking and management responsibilities policy?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Dale. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Barber. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. And those opposed? Motion is passed. Okay, moving on to agenda item 6J. This is action regarding a proposed new rule for Title 40, TAC 459, new veteran-owned business verification letters, and Chapter 459.1, documents needed to request a new veteran-owned business verification letter. And Megan Thomas, our Veteran Entrepreneur Department Director, will be giving this report.
Good morning, Commissioners, Chairwoman, and Mr. Palladino. For the record, my name is Megan Tamez. I'm the Director of the Veteran Entrepreneur Program. Today, we are requesting a new rule simplifying the application process for the veteran verification letter by designating what the acceptable documents are when applying, eliminating confusion for the veterans who are requesting the veteran verification letter. This section was created to establish what documents the veterans can submit when applying for a veteran verification letter to verify the veteran served and was honorably discharged. This section further established that any documents submitted cannot be altered in any way, redacted, and the veteran's character of military service must be present. The documents that are acceptable would be the DD 214, the NGB 22, which is National Guard form, and the NA form 13038, which comes from the National Archives. This is presented and recommended for your approval.
Thank you, Megan. Any questions? Commissioner Wright.
One quick question. A copy of an honorable discharge is not included on there. Did I understand that correctly?
A copy of an honorable discharge? What do you mean, sir?
The certificate.
Oh, no, sir. We do not accept certificates or military orders.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Can you say why?
Yes, because they're easy to forge. Yes, unfortunately.
So this is my question. In fact, I'm glad you asked that question, Commissioner Barber, because I was going to ask, what drove us to put this rule together? Was there some problem you were experiencing in the operation of the program?
Yes, ma'am. We have experienced receiving forged DD-214s, forged documents altogether, and we have run those through the General Counsel and taken appropriate action. We've seen it a handful of times. It's not big, but we do receive a lot of military orders, and there's no way to tell if they are a true document, and we don't have access to the appropriate databases to make that verification.
And so setting it as a rule makes it the veterans know in advance what is expected rather than them submit the wrong thing and then you have to come back and tell them no.
Well, we've also run into, we have it posted, the documents that we accept, and they come back and tell us, well, it's not in any government code. You have to accept this. And so there's a lot of back and forth with the veterans, and having it in a rule establishes the government code and says this is what we accept and nothing else.
Do we have a disclaimer on there that says, you know, that you're committing perjury, you're committing stolen valor? Is that on there as well? Do we have a statement on there that says, but you know, you're guilty of perjury and stolen valor?
I don't know that we have that specific statement on there, but
we might want to look at throwing that on there just to add another layer of, and we probably need to discuss this offline too as a national situation as well. So, but I would highly suggest we put that language on there when you're talking about what documents. I would put that legalese in there personally. So.
And Commissioner Barber, I'm going to call on Danette, and we do have a policy, an internal policy on response to suspected confirmed forgery of DD-214s, and we can provide a copy of that to you as well.
Yeah, that would be great because I definitely want to track this at the national level as well. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Alrighty. Any further questions on that? Okay. I think this is a very good use of a rule.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. And I will note we have brought this to the TRIO organization as part of the new state code, and they have proceeded to let us continue with this rule. Okay. Any further questions? Do I hear a motion to approve the new rule for Title 40, Chapter 459, New Veteran-Owned Business Verification Letters, and Chapter 459.1? Oops. Here it is. Oh, yes. Documents needed to request a new veteran-owned business verification letter.
So moved.
I hear a motion from Commissioner Dale and a second from Commissioner Barber. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Motion is approved.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. And we had two other agenda items, K and L. I believe we are withdrawing those. Is that correct, Tom?
Yes.
Okay, if you want to, do you want to address that or do you want me to?
Yes. So there is, in our government code, we have the legislature authorized us to have a healthcare advisory program, which we do, and a veteran entrepreneur program, which we do. And we've had those since 2015. And those programs are very effective, and the government code's very detailed. However, it does say in the government code that we shall have rules. We never had rules prior because they were pretty detailed. So we put together some potential rules, but the rules were, in my opinion, they really all they said was see the government code. So my belief was that if we're going to put a rule, we should have some substance in the rule so that the client, the veteran who's going to the Texas Register to read the rule doesn't have to then get diverted to the government code to find their information. We should be able to find it in one place. So I'd like to, instead of presenting those, is to do a revision and present them next meeting.
Okay, do you think we need them? Because I mean, if the government code is specific enough, do we even need a rule?
I don't think we actually need a rule because the government code is very specific. And then we have internal policies within the entrepreneur program and in the healthcare advocacy program, which informs the veteran and their family members how to get the services. And so therefore, I don't think in those particular cases we need to have a rule because it's very specific as it is. And as long as, we can use the Attorney General's opinion of shall versus may, which I'll defer to the chair to explain that, then I don't think we need a rule.
Okay. That's right. Commissioners, any question? Okay. With that, we have exhausted all of our agenda items. I do not know of a reason for us to go into executive session today. And with that, we'll move on to discussing the date and time and location of our next commissioner meeting. We are recommending May 14th, which is a Thursday at 9 a.m. for our next commissioners meeting. I know we had originally talked about May 12th, but I now have a conflict. So I'm asking for May 14th at 9 a.m. Any concerns or questions on that? Okay, that is when we're going to have it set. So with that, our next meeting is scheduled for May 14th, location in the George H.W. Bush building in the boardroom right here in Austin, Texas at 9 a.m. And now I'm going to call on each commissioner for closing comments. Now, not knowing whether some of our commissioners are going to be in place next month, this might be your final closing comments. So I will allow Commissioner Dale to go first, then Commissioner Hernandez, and then Commissioner Barber.
Okay, thank you. And I think I kind of gave my farewell speech last time, but just to reiterate that I've been extremely honored to have served on this commission with my fellow commissioners, the previous commissioners who were here, and with the staff who is constantly just seeking to improve the agency to be able to serve our veterans. I know early on I had a couple challenges for you all, and you all were on top of it. And since then, you've just been, 3 steps ahead of me ever since then. So it's, so just appreciate that. One of the things when I first came on was looking at your pay rate. And that was something that I know, being a lot of veterans in this agency, we tend to not look out for ourselves. But when we were seeing losing our staff to other agencies, that concerned me. And I'm so glad that that finally got done, because y'all deserve it. Just like we tell those veterans who say, you've earned your benefits, you're earning this. And I'm glad that we were able to get that done this last legislative session, because you all pour your hearts into your mission here at TVC. It's been an honor. And as you noticed today, we did give, some money away that's going to take away from our next grant cycle. So I'm going to leave everybody with this last thoughts. Go buy your tickets so we can get some more money for our next grant cycle, all right? Buy these. You are supporting veterans when you buy your scratch off. I'm always available, even if I'm off the commission. If you need me to go do a public service announcements, I'm happy to do that. So let me know. Thank you, guys. It's been my great, great honor to serve with y'all.
Thank you, Mary. It's been on our honor. Okay, Commissioner Hernandez.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, Executive Director Palladino, Executive Staff, Program Directors, and supporting components, those veterans serving in host locations throughout the state. I just want to say it's been an honor and a privilege to serve an agency that is an innovation throughout the nation and the other states that follow the services that have been provided here in Texas through the Texas Veterans Commission. Very much honored. And for me to show that honor is to refer a Texas veterans to the Texas Veterans Commission for their earned benefits. Thank you. It's been a great trip for me. And from West Texas, happy trails.
Thank you, Mike. Commissioner Barber.
Well, thank you, ma'am. It's been a heck of a ride. So thank you all for for your guidance, for your patience, Tom. I really appreciate it. I'd like to think we did some good and we had some fun along the way. Again, it's been a hell of a ride. It's not over. You know, we have a lot more to do. And I can guarantee you right now, there's a lot of people in DC, there's a lot of people across the United States that are tired of me talking about the Texas model. Because it is all about Texas up there for me, because you guys do it right. And why not take that model, and success leaves a path, and why not take that model across the United States? So thank you again. I'm getting a little bit of a chill here, but and when we talk about the Texas model, it's about the people. It's about what you're doing on a daily basis, and how much it is appreciated, and how much more there is to come. So thank you. This is an extremely talented commission up here, and extremely talented staff over there. So leverage what you've earned, and thank you very much for a great tour of duty here. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. And I know we'll continue to work with you on veteran issues, and we look forward to doing that. Commissioner Wright?
Happy New Year to everybody. Particularly to Commissioner Barber, who I've described as a mentor in my role with what we're doing. So if you don't like what I'm doing, you can blame him.
Oh, no.
No, but he has been great. It has been a pleasure working with all three of you. Not that anybody's dying or going away anytime soon. But I did want to say, in the 2 years that I've done this, I am so incredibly impressed with the staff, and that starts with the leadership at the top and goes down. I routinely get comments from people who have sought us out for services, and it is rarely a complaint. Say the same thing about the VA, but we're not the VA, and I try to remind them of that. But our services have been incredible, and I think that reflects on each and every one of you. So thank you very much for that, and be safe, and look forward to seeing everybody in May.
Thank you, Commissioner Wright. And Tom?
Thank you, Chairwoman. I want to say it's been a pleasure to serve with all you three commissioners that are potentially leaving in the next, in the next quarter. It's been a pleasure. I've known Kevin for a long time now, and I know I'll still be getting calls and I'll still be answering questions. But it's a great collaboration, and your passion, is at the foremost, of the agency. And then Mary, it's been a pleasure working with you. You live right here in Austin, and you do a lot of events with the American Legion, and we have a great relationship, and you care so much about what happens to our veterans, across the state, and appreciate your service. And Mike, appreciate your service in Vietnam, and the stories that you've told me from what happened to you coming out of that war, and all the way, and all your service through veteran employment, all the way you did for the Texas Workforce Agency all those years, and then you continue to serve in West Texas, and so you're the model. You're the model that we all should look up to, and I really enjoy working with you, and you care so deeply for our veterans. So thanks to all three of you, and I'm proud to serve with the board and with all the staff. You do a great job because you're passionate about helping our veterans, families, and survivors, and that's what makes this agency different. From a lot of agencies. You also see it at the Veteran Land Board, where people are passionate about helping veterans. So when you're veteran-centric, you're passionate about helping veterans, and that makes a difference. So appreciate the 110% you give every single day. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. For the record, I don't think I'm going anywhere anytime soon, so you're kind of stuck with me for 6 more years at least. One, I just want to thank all the commissioners for all your service, over the many years that you've been here, and it's a pleasure to work with everyone in support of Texas veterans. I look forward to an amazing 2026. Looks like we're starting off right with some great success stories from our grantees and on our media outreach. So I look forward to another busy year, which is good, and getting out there and supporting our veterans across the state. Again, also looking forward to a lot of the collaboration we have with our state agencies out there that we work closely with, like the Veterans Land Board and the Workforce Commission, and all the other agencies. Now the TDLR for when it comes to the lottery. So we have many great relationships to maintain, and some great events that we can host. So with that, I just want to have one administrative reminder for the commissioners. If you can please sign your conflict of interest policy form and leave that with Cheryl. And then if you need time to review the grant list, please take that home. Take some time to review it. Otherwise, please sign it and leave that with Cheryl as well. But we will need both of those signed before we have our next meeting, in which we're going to be voting on the grants. So with that, thank you so much. And everyone have a great year. And with that, I'm closing the meeting.